Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz presented by Ams Bowfishing. My name is Matthew and I'm here with my good buddy D. Schmitty.
Hey everybody.
We've got another tournament talk part 2.
2.0, Tournaments 2.0.
You know, we really, last week was really cool. We were going to get more of this here talk in there as well. Mm-hmm. But man, Jody was rattling stuff off so cool and so awesome and telling some awesome stories that we just let him run with it, and it turned out really cool. And so we're back.
Yeah, we actually only got like 50% of what our original plan was for last week finished, which is totally fine. I think that episode turned out, I think a lot of people liked that episode. That was some good insight by Jody for sure.
No doubt. Hey, I want you to do something for me.
Yeah?
All right. I want you to just sit back and close your eyes.
Okay.
Just sit back, close your eyes.
Okay.
Think about the sun shining, slight breeze, the smell of water.
Oh, boy.
And just listen now.
That is a rude tease. That is a rude... I'm on a deck of a boat right now.
Absolutely. Isn't that cool?
Oh, my gosh. That's funny you say that because right now, outside, we've had to shovel twice already, and it's not even noon.
I know.
We're getting an absolute blizzard here.
I think every time when we do a podcast, it's either like negative 35, and now we've got this huge winter storm upon us.
Yep. Yeah, there's 2 feet of ice everywhere.
8 to 12 inches of snow today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mid-February, bowfishing seems like it's a long ways away.
But it's not.
I know.
It's not.
I know.
We'll be on the river here in a month.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We'll be on the rivers here in a month.
Yep.
But anyways, getting back to, we're going to be talking some more about bowfishing tournaments and all that. And, you know, there's some big ones coming up already, you know, that are slated for this year already. You've got, you know, JP's got his Bass Pro U.S. Open.
Yep.
You know, that's April 6th down in Bossier, Louisiana. And I was just kind of looking at some of the stuff today for that, and it's kind of cool because he's got like 8 different bodies of water that you can shoot. You know, you've got Toledo Bend, Cato Lake, Sam Rayburn, Red River, Lake of the Pines, Wright Patman, Lake Palestine, Sabin River. So you've got a lot of water for that tournament.
For sure, big popular bodies of water,
big bodies of water.
Yep.
I know we're going to be down there. AMS will be down there. We're not going to be shooting in the tournament this year, but we'll be down there with the booth and everything set up for that.
Talk some bull fishing.
Absolutely.
Pick up some product if they need it last minute. So.
I'm going to be really, really itching because I won't be shooting in the tournament.
Oh, I was going to say, that is going to kill you. That's got to be tough.
It is. It's going to be bad.
That's going to be tough. Usually, I got to run the booth while you're shooting the tournament.
I know.
But, yeah.
Well, we might after the tournament's done or something, we are going to go out and do some filming.
Thank the Lord. Good deal.
We are going to do some filming because I'm not going to drive that far.
Right.
And not go shoot some fish.
Mm-hmm. That would be a waste.
Yeah. So we're going to shoot some fish all on there. You know, also we've got the BA Worlds is next door to us this year in Minnesota.
Yes. Yep.
We've got John Laskas holding that.
That's neat.
And that's on June 29th on the Mississippi River. I think pools 3 through 9 down there. And I know John's really putting in a lot of work for that. He's doing a lot of cool stuff for that. He's doing a lot of posting for that. So that should be a really, really good tournament. There's a lot of water to be shot down there. There's a lot of big carp on the river.
Yep.
So that's another big one coming up. And of course we've got, you know, the AMS Big 20, June 8th this year.
Yep. 8th and 9th.
And that's always draws a lot of boats from all over the places. It's a statewide Wisconsin tournament. And some giant carp are always
absolutely
shot during that tournament.
Seems like we get more boats every year. It gets bigger and bigger and better, and it's just a blast. It's fun working it, for sure.
It's fun working it. It's fun to see all the teams, the different boats that are coming in.
Yep.
So that's a big one that's coming up. We've got, right here in Wisconsin, too, we've got the Carpzilla RFA Wisconsin Open. And that's always one of my favorites because it's right there in the peak of the carp spawn.
Sure. Yep.
And it's not uncommon to see the heavy fish is going to be a carp. and it's usually between 35 to 39 pounds.
Boy. Wow. That's
will
a
be
tank
your
right
big
there.
carp.
Wow.
Yeah. I know that one year when we shot in that tournament, we averaged 30 pounds with 20 carp.
Oh, I remember you telling me a story when I first started working here. I remember you telling me it, and I was like in awe. You and Tim were shooting that tournament?
Yeah.
And you guys
Dan
had a big full boat of big fish. You knew you were going to do pretty well. I don't know if it was towards the end of the night. You guys saw a fish swimming boat side, and you were like, Tim, shoot that fish. That's a good fish. And Tim's like, I don't really think, I don't think it's going to upgrade any fish. Let's just leave it. I don't think it's that big. And how much did that fish end up weighing after he shot it?
We watched that fish for probably a minute.
Oh,
it was just swimming in front of the boat. I'm like, Tim, you better shoot that. I don't. We got too many fish in the boat. We got too much weight. We don't need that one. It's not going to count. We're not going to need it. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that thing's got some pretty big belly sticking on both sides of her body. You better shoot that fish.
Oh, man.
So finally, after like the third or fourth time of convincing Tim to finally shoot at this fish, he shoots and it weighed 34 pounds.
Oh, my. Imagine trying to convince somebody to shoot a 34-pound carp, and they're like, I don't think it's big enough. That's insane.
Well, see, the thing is, back here in Wisconsin, you have to, once you shoot a fish, you cannot release it. So you have to keep all the fish that you shoot.
Right.
Well, through the night...
You can't, sink them. You can't go out into a channel or anything.
Nope, you cannot do any of that. You can take them back and unload them, but we didn't want to do that because we had quite a bit of a boat ride. So we got all these fish, and of course the boat's getting slower and slower, and you're weighing fish, and pretty soon you're figuring out what you need to shoot and what you don't need to shoot anymore. And we just kind of at first thought that fish wasn't big enough.
Right. That's how you were seeing big fish all night. That a 34 didn't look like a tank.
That was an amazing night of bow fishing, especially when it comes to a tournament. That was an amazing night.
Sure.
And I think last year the average weight was like 32 pounds.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. It was absolutely crazy.
It was unbelievable. Nuts. So there's some. I know Joe Nichols. He runs a bunch of great tournaments in the Kentucky area. Ed DeVries with the Bowfishing Association of Illinois. He's got a bunch of big ones. They've actually got their big. Let's see here. They've got their big BI Interlock Broadhead State Championship, July 20th to the 21st at the Ottawa Park in Illinois there, and that's usually on the Illinois River there. So there's a lot of big tournaments. You can find these tournaments. You can go on Facebook and go to Bowfishing Tournaments, and there'll be flyers. You can find a lot of these awesome tournaments. Go to Bowfishing Associations, but yeah, that's just a start. So get out there and compete in some of these tournaments. So
right. I think a lot of these are big tournaments. There's a ton of smaller tournaments that are sprinkled all over the place as well, and during the bowfishing season. So
no doubt. But so did anybody? I know we've got a couple questions that people asked us if we could share with them or help them as far as tournaments go.
Just so everyone knows who's listening, if you guys have any questions that you guys want us to address on the podcast, feel free to contact us somehow. If we share a link on Facebook, comment your question or email us, Facebook message, whatever you got to do, and we'll try to address it in the next podcast.
Yep.
So I guess the biggest question that we had, some guys were wondering, they don't do a lot of tournaments, people who aren't really experienced, what do you look for in a body of water, and what specifically on that body of water are you looking for when you're looking for a lake to shoot, a body of water to shoot for a tournament?
Definitely maps.
Okay. Yep.
I'm constantly looking at maps. Your phones have all kinds of great apps that you can look at water on. You can see feeder creeks that are running into the back bays. You can tell what the shoreline is. You can tell if it's chunk rock, mud, weedy, if it drops off fast. You can tell all that stuff on maps. So maps are the first place that I start looking when I'm going to go to a body of water that I've never shot in a tournament before. So definitely maps. Like I said, the thing that I like to look for is way in the back of bays where there's some type of a feeder creek that runs into there.
Some moving water
water. And then if there's high water, to see how far back in there I can go when the water's high.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I've shot in some tournaments where the water's 25 feet above Summer Pool down in Missouri.
Yep. Oh, we were down there. That was insane. I remember that.
Crazy.
Yep. So we were fishing in campgrounds and areas. There was baseball fields under water. It was just wild.
We're cruising on top of picnic tables.
Yep.
We were actually, one time we went across, we're like, what the heck is that down there? It was an outhouse.
Oh my
At a
gosh! Wow. Yeah.
Don't shoot any of them fish.
No, they might stink a little bit. Yep. That would be a trouble right there.
So yeah, definitely, maps. Maps are the biggest thing. But along with that, there's so much that plays into where the fish are going to be. Weather dependent, wind, high winds will affect, fish where they're going to be at. Cold fronts are a killer.
Oh yeah. Dropping water as
Dropping water is a really big killer. It's nasty. We were shooting in the Worlds quite a few years back in Kentucky Lake, and Friday night we were scouting, and I could not believe the smallmouth buffs were so docile.
Really?
You could actually reach over the boat and touch their backs.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And it was just absolutely phenomenal. We're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. We're going to be in it, And it was like that in the spot that we were going to shoot.
Yep.
So we go back, tournament night.
Yep.
We're sitting in our spot waiting for it to get dark out. It's time to turn the lights on. And we went and we shot a couple buffs. And at midnight, the fish were gone.
Really?
There was nothing. At this time, I had no idea about water levels and stuff like that.
They were there the night before. They ought to be there again tonight.
Yeah, it was
kind of
same conditions. The weather was the same. The winds were the same. It was like, where'd they go? And we actually decided about packing up and going to the river to try for bagheads, but we stuck it out and grinded it out there. And here to come find out that the water was dropping on Kentucky Lake, and all the fish they were there, but they were in just a little bit deeper water. We couldn't see them anymore. They just shifted from the top of those shelves down to the bottom in 5 feet of water. We couldn't see them.
Right, yep.
And that makes a huge difference.
Sure, absolutely.
Dropping water is a killer.
Yeah.
Absolute killer when it comes to fish.
Yeah. Just to jump back on that, the point you made about maps, how important maps are. I think whenever I'm looking for a spot, just a maps app on your phone is awesome for identifying points. There's also an app out there called Navionics. I don't know if you have experience with it at all.
A little bit.
It gives your contours for depth, and what the bottom structure is. It's rubble, big boulders, rock, sand, muck, and I just know that I've used that before. So in case any of you guys are looking for a little app, Navionics, I think you have to. It's a one-time fee that you pay for it.
Yep.
And then you can unlock any body of water in the app, and that can be helpful as well, just as far as a little bit more in depth than just your basic map on your phone.
One year while scouting for a tournament, we also found it was very useful by using a Google Maps or whatever you have on your phone. Is once we located fish, we looked up and down the shorelines to see what else looked just like that spot where we had found fish. And those spots that looked identical to where we were at held fish as well.
Yep.
They held fish as well.
That's very, very important to do. Try to mimic exactly where you had success.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
A couple other questions. I know we ran through some of these with Jody, but we'll run through them with you now just to see different outlooks and whatnot. But when did you start shooting bowfishing tournaments? And this is going to be basically a lot of Matt's responses. I do not have the experience with bowfishing tournaments that Matt does. Matt's got a little bit of expertise to offer, so I'll be asking him questions and I'll embellish on him a little bit. So when did you start shooting bowfishing tournaments?
First of all, I don't know if it's expertise.
Let's see. What could we... Elite.
No. I just enjoy competing in them. Actually, getting back to that question, Derek, the first tournament that I ever shot in was the Wisconsin Bowfishing Association tournament on Petenwell Flowage.
Okay, sure.
That was in 2010.
Oh, wow. 9 years ago.
Yep. And I went there with my nephew and Timmy Boy from work here. And we shot in that. The following week, we shot in the Castle Rock tournament.
Okay.
And it was really cool because I had no idea about scouting and all this other stuff and what was all going to happen. And to be honest with you, when I got there, I was a little intimidated a little bit.
Sure.
I've never shot in a tournament before. I was a little intimidated. Didn't know the whole process as far as getting signed up, getting registered, weigh-ins and all that type of stuff, what I was going to encounter while on the water that night shooting.
Right.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
The whole experience was awesome.
Sure.
To learn, to see how it rolls, to see how the weigh-ins rock and roll, and to see the other boats coming with their fish, and to see what we had. It was really a lot of fun. And that's where, you start meeting bowfishing friends. And so that was a lot of fun. That same year, I went and shot the Great Lakes Tournament up there in Saginaw Bay in Michigan. That was quite impressive.
Yeah?
Yeah, the number of boats, there was over like 170 some boats in that tournament.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun. We were seeing a lot of fish, and it's kind of cool because these fish were staging. They weren't in the shallows yet. They were out in about 4 feet of water, but the water is so clear you can see them.
Right.
But spooky as heck, man. As soon as they would see you, they would just, boom, this whole water would just take off and swim away. Our trolling motor, we busted the trolling motor. Like the first 2 hours into the tournament.
Oh, on tournament night you busted it?
No, this is a day tournament.
It's
a 2-day tournament.
So during the tournament, you're 2 hours in, you busted your trolling motor.
Busted our trolling motor.
Oh, my. Wow.
So the rest of the day, we just kind of drifted with the wind and shot whatever we could shoot at.
Really?
And after the first day, we were like in 70th position or something like that.
Well, for not having a trolling motor out of 170 boats, that's not too bad. That's pretty damn good.
So the next day, we go back out. And we're doing the same process. We drive way out, and then we just let the wind drift us back into the bay.
Yeah.
And we were shooting a couple fish, and we got kind of close to the shoreline there. And I just happened to look back into the weeds along the shoreline.
Yeah.
And I could see splashes.
Oh.
I'm like, hey, buddy, what's going on back in there?
Yep.
So the further we drifted back into the bay on the second day, we started to see a little more fish.
Yep.
And then when we got really close to the shoreline, I'm like, Pat, the fish are spawning on the banks.
Oh, my gosh.
So we just kept drifting back, and I jumped out of the boat and just was shooting fish and throwing them in the boat and shooting and throwing them in the boat.
Sure.
And Pat was sitting in there shooting from the boat, and I'm like, Pat, we need to fill this boat up in a hurry now.
Right.
And so jump in the water and start shooting these fish.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yep.
And it was phenomenal. These fish were just rolling in like you wouldn't believe. And, of course, you're trying to pick out the females out of the males and shoot the big ones. And there'd be times where you would shoot a big female, and you'd be dragging her back to the boat.
Oh.
And there would literally be males slapping against her.
That's when you hit the peak spawn right there. My goodness.
Yep. So that was a lot of fun. We shot a bunch of fish in a short time. I think we ended up like in 13th.
Oh, my Lord, with no trolling motor.
With no trolling motor, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that tournament is kind of popular for getting out and shooting on the banks. There's actually been people that have sunk their boats because they were overweight and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it's a total weight tournament, so it's pretty cool. And when the fish move in, they move in big time over there.
In like a big school almost, kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a really neat tournament that they have over there. And then after that, I shot in the Downriver Bowfishing Association. That organization isn't around anymore, but that was on the Ohio River.
Okay.
And I shot in that tournament. Actually took first place. I was shooting with Jason Greer and another guy. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. But we shot big heads, and we ended up taking first in that tournament. The reason I was there in 2010 was to look for a place for our first annual AMS Big 30.
Okay, the first AMS tournament.
And that was one of the spots that I was looking at. And I was fortunate enough to hook up with Jason Greer, who's from that area, and we found a bunch of big heads at night scouting, and we went back and they were there. And
God, that sounds fun.
We had a good time. I've shot in the Directors Tournament on the Illinois River that Ed Dries puts on. And then in 2010, I had my first chance to shoot in a Campbells Pro Bowfishing Challenge.
Okay, yep.
And going back a few years before that, I was invited down to Kentucky when they were having their Campbell's Bowfishing Challenge to do a little filming for Jeff and Cindy here at Ams Bowfishing.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, there's only like 10 or 11 boats competing in it.
Okay.
But the deal is you're competing against other teams and you're filming your bowfishing tournament. So you don't have to shoot a lot of fish, but you have to get good quality to get more points.
Got to capture the moment a little bit more.
And it's 3 nights long.
Okay.
And I remember I was down there filming that, and I thought it was so cool. I saw these boats, and I saw these teams, and they all had these jerseys on, and I'm filming them as they take off, and I'm filming them as they come back in. I'm like, gosh, this is really cool. And that's the first time I ever saw a big head.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember walking in the back parking lot the day of weigh-ins, and I saw this fish, tail sticking out of this barrel. I'm like, holy cow, that's a big tail.
Yep.
I thought it was a spoonbill.
Okay, sure.
So I'm walking over there and I look, and I saw these ginormous fish. These huge heads. And I was
weird
like,
looking.
Yeah, it was like an alien in there. I'm
Yep.
like, wow, what the heck is that?
Yep.
Who did I run into? In the parking lot, down there in Kentucky Lake.
I have an idea.
Let me know your idea.
Is it Mr. Redden?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He wasn't shooting in the tournament. He wasn't competing in the Campbells at that time. He was just down there checking it out.
Yep.
And I ran into him in the parking lot.
Sure. Dennis Redden.
I had no idea who he was, and we started talking. I said, "What is that?" And he said, "That's a big head." And he says, I was talking about the fish. I couldn't believe the size. And he said to me, he says, "Do you want to go out and try to shoot some tonight?"
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So Cindy and Jeff and I and Dennis and his son Jeremiah, they took us out on the Ohio River, or not on the Ohio River. We were on the, we were below Barkley Lake.
Okay. All right.
On the river there. And he took us out and we shot fish. I was filming and I just couldn't get over this type of bow fishing.
Wow.
It was totally new to me.
Sure. And you guys were using lights?
Yeah, we didn't.
No boat lights, like lights on your boat?
No lights on the bows.
Oh, okay.
He put a battery in the middle of the deck, and he had like a deer shining light.
Oh, okay.
So he was shining with a big spotlight.
Right. Okay.
And that's how we shot fish.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. It was incredible to me. I went back a couple more years after that, and I did some filming. And as I'm filming, I'm like, I can do this. I want to compete in this.
Right.
This looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Yeah.
So I finally got my chance to compete in 2011 in the Campbells Challenge, and that was in Tennessee on Lake Nickajack.
Okay.
And wow, you want to talk about brutal?
Really?
Yeah, 3 nights. Scouting 3 days before that.
Oh.
You have to submit different video elements like destination elements, underwater elements.
B-roll type stuff.
Tons of B-roll type stuff.
Yep.
You couldn't just shoot a fish right away.
Right. That would almost do you nothing. If you just went out and shot a fish, that almost did you nothing, correct?
Nothing as far as video points goes.
Right.
I mean, you could get as much pre-roll on a fish. Like 15 seconds was the maximum pre-roll you could get on a fish before you shot it.
Yep.
Well, that's a lot different than when you're sitting in your tree and you got the cameraman and you're watching a deer coming in.
Right.
You've got a lot of time to film that deer coming in. Well, with fishing, you don't have a lot of time to make sure the cameraman's on that fish. It's in focus. Okay, can we shoot it now? Can we shoot it now? Can we shoot it now?
Right.
Because I'm terrible at counting down when it comes to shooting. When I see a fish, I draw and shoot.
Right. That's got to be just instinct to do that.
If I see a fish and I draw and I hold 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 until the cameraman says shoot, I'm terrible.
Sure.
I'm terrible. I can't draw and just sit there and wait. I need to shoot right away. So it was awesome. We learned a lot about filming.
Sure.
When it comes to bow fishing, because it's dark out. You know, your camera's got to have different settings for darkness, the water, the ripples, everything. The sound from the generators, you don't want to get a lot of that in there.
I'm guessing lighting is just...
Lighting is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Backlighting, because if you don't have any backlighting, the guys that are shooting are silhouetted in all black.
Right.
And that doesn't look good on video.
No.
So we learned a lot about the video elements as far as capturing a lot of cool bow fishing videos.
Right.
And unfortunately, that was the very last Campbell's Challenge that they had that year.
I would love to do something like that. That would be a blast.
It was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed that. We ended up taking 3rd in that one there.
Sure.
So that was a lot of fun. I remember Chucky Belmore. He came in with just an absolute, it was like a 70-some pound grassy on the second day of her weigh-ins.
Boy.
That thing was huge.
Wow.
That thing was ginormous. But that was a lot of fun. So yeah, in 2010 is when I started shooting tournaments.
Sure.
And I've been shooting tournaments ever since. And along with tournaments, you know, we go to a lot of youth tournaments as well. I know Randy Woodward puts on a phenomenal Youth Worlds down in Oklahoma. I've gone down there once and participated in taking kids out and seeing the kids that come and seeing the job that Randy does as far as these kids. I mean, these kids walk away with a prize, and there's like 350 kids.
Oh, wow. Sure.
It's huge.
Yep. Yeah.
So Randy Woodward does a great job. Jason Greer, once again, in Indiana with the Archery Camps USA.
Yep.
I've gone down, several years and take kids out on their bow fishing experience nights. And the other one that I'm Andy Cardwell with the Jared Ashmore Youth Tournament.
That's always fun to go film the kids.
It is.
That's
a lot of fun, and that's a great area for the kids to shoot because you got the silvers, which are pretty much every night you can go and shoot silvers.
Right.
If the other fish aren't up on the lakes and stuff like that, so you've always got the silvers to back on, and that's a great tournament for the kids. It's cool to see these kids coming into weigh-ins, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and, and these kids are, they're pumped up, they're jacked up.
Right. They're more awake, I think, than the adults.
Oh,
are
no
at the
doubt.
tournament.
They're sitting there holding these fish up, and it's all lit up, and it's just a really cool experience.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance, go to one of these youth events and take the kids out. You'll be surprised, and you'll see the smiles that are on these kids' face, and even more if you get a chance. Host some type of youth event.
Right.
We've been hosting youth events here in Wisconsin along with the WBA for several years. And it's not so much that they even get a fish, it's the experience.
Right.
It's the experience, and it's another great way to also teach these kids that are going to be coming up into the bow fishing world that are going to be the next bow fishers.
Yep.
And to kind of give them some feedback about the rules on bow fishing.
Sure.
Some of the ethics. Why we don't leave fish lay here at the boat landings.
Right.
Why you don't dump them in ditches for other people to see. That's just a bad apple for, one person can be a bad apple out of a whole group of 100.
Right.
All it takes is that one person to mess things up. And so it's a great way to also, get the kids experience in bow fishing, but then to teach them the ethics about bow fishing.
Right. And I know this goes for anything. The most important people in a sport or an industry is the next generation of bow fishermen.
Right.
For our, to keep the sport growing and getting bigger and everything. And I think all it takes is a kid having a youth event experience. Oh, you know what? That was really cool. They get a little older, maybe for Christmas, mom and dad get them a bow fishing bow or a reel, and that could start an entire bow fishing career just because of one day.
Absolutely. And talking with Andy Cardwell down there on the Jared Ashmore Tournament, what brings a tear to his eye is when he sees a kid come to help take young kids out. Where 4 years down the road, this kid was looking for a boat to get into.
Right.
And now he's there with his own boat, taking these kids out.
That is awesome right there. That's a circle of life right there.
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
That's pretty sweet. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I actually, in 2014, I shot in the Worlds in Kentucky, and you're only allowed to shoot in or launch out of 3 boat landings.
Oh, okay.
Or 4 boat landings it was.
Okay.
Below Barkley, below Kentucky Lake, and one on Barkley Lake and one on Kentucky Lake. Well, this is one thing that, as far as tournaments goes, driving a long ways to get to your spots.
Yep.
We dumped in below Kentucky Lake, and we drove all the way out the river to the Ohio River, and then we went another 20-some miles up the Ohio River to our spot.
My.
We had to go through a couple locks.
How long was that boat ride?
It was about 4.5 hours long.
Oh, my
Boat
Lord.
ride. Yeah.
Boat ride.
Boat ride.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
So when you get into stuff like that, you're talking about having gas, extra gas in your boats.
Sure,
so you're hauling around a lot of gas.
Sure.
You have you have gas tanks staged along the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have your own little spot where you know that you set it there and you filled it up and you set it there and you go there and pick that gas can up and fill up.
Wow.
And I remember coming to the lock on the Ohio River, and we were the last ones that made it to the lock, and there was 3 or 4 other bow fishing boats in that lock with us.
Oh, really?
So we knew we were going to have company upriver.
Sure.
And you want to talk about a long ride back.
Oh,
especially down there in the morning when you get up into the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers, the fog just settles in.
Oh, sure. Oh, man.
Yeah. And you know what? As we're sitting there driving back in through that fog in the morning, heading back to the boat launch, I'm driving like 10 miles an hour because I can't see. The fog is so thick, and there's barges that come up and down the river, and there's barge parking, big pillars sitting all over the place and whatnot, and there's factories that are along the river in there. And I'm just putting along, and I hear something behind me, and here come a bass boat going about 55 miles an hour.
Oh my God!
Right through that fog, and I was like, dude, that's a death wish.
Wow, this was in the morning coming back? Or?
Yeah, they had a bass tournament, and there were all these bass boats flying up the river.
God.
Now, maybe they had intel. Maybe they called the locks ahead and said, is any barges coming down or whatnot? So they might have known, or maybe they had some really cool radar or something. But
yeah, that would be... Wow.
Not for me. No, I'm not doing that stuff.
That could be nasty. And there's always stuff floating in the river, too, that you could hit.
Absolutely, and it was because it was high that year, and there's a lot of debris in the river systems.
Oh. All right. Well, I guess we kind of answered like 4 out of the 5 questions just in the last 20 minutes of talking, which is good. But I guess my last one I had written down here is, what is your favorite part about bowfishing tournaments?
My favorite part is going to a new body of water. It's a challenge.
Yep.
To see if I can scout, to see if I can compete.
Sure.
To see if we can stick up in there, get a top 10, something like that. I'm not going there to look to win. I'm looking there to compete.
Yep.
If I can compete, I've done well.
Right.
Just going to these tournaments alone and meeting new people as well.
Sure.
I mean, I know I've said it a lot of times, but man, in bowfishing tournaments, that's where you meet your friends.
Right. Camaraderie is awesome.
Absolutely, and you go to a couple of these tournaments every year, and you see your friends there again. That's the only time you really see them that year.
Right.
And you can BS a little bit with them and rib them a little bit at weigh-ins, or they can rib you depending on how you do.
Yep.
But that's the biggest thing when I go to the tournaments. What I enjoy the most is seeing if I can compete against all these other great teams. And I've never been to this body of water, and if I can compete.
Sure.
I've learned a lot through the years as far as never giving up, always sticking with it. I gave up in one tournament, where we were just like, no, we're not going to do nothing. We're not going to be very good. We ended up having the biggest grass carp, and we didn't go back to weigh in.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we had the biggest grass carp, and we thought there would be bigger fish shot, but it was a rough night for everybody. So always go back. You just never know. Just because you had a bad night doesn't mean that all the other boats had a great night.
Right.
So always go back to weigh-ins. You never know what you're going to miss out on. You could win something.
Right.
Because a lot of these tournaments have a lot of cool door prizes on the side.
Sure. Yeah.
That you can win.
Yeah.
Probably one of my biggest thrills in a tournament was, I believe, in 2016. We shot in the Worlds in Kentucky.
Yep.
And we scouted, and we were seeing some buffs, but not what we were hoping we would find.
Yep.
And on the last night of scouting, Friday night, we went back into our area, and the buffs moved in.
Okay.
The buffs moved in, and there were some big fish. And now it was once again a very long boat ride, because you're only allowed to use one boat launch.
Okay, wow.
So it's a very long boat ride.
Yep.
And when you take off, you get to the boat landing, and there's 25 other boats loading, pulling in. It's a rat race.
Yep.
You got to have your team prepared to who's backing in, who's unlatching the hooks, who's doing this and that, so you can get in and out as fast as you can.
Yep.
It needs to be down pat. And you got a long boat ride to a spot, and you're following boats, and other boats are pulling off. You're like, all right, cool, that's one that's not going to be in our area, and you just keep driving. And when we got back into our area, we were the only boat in there.
Okay, sure.
And I'm like, this is awesome. And I was shooting with Jeremiah Redden, and one of his buddies from the East Coast, who went to school with him, but he moved to the East Coast, and he's never bowfishing for like 3 years in Kentucky.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Dennis Redden, he couldn't shoot with us that tournament because he was guiding turkeys, and so he had some clients that he had to take out turkey hunting.
Yep.
And the very first fish that we boated that night was just incredible, especially being our first fish. We pushed this ginormous smallmouth buffalo from the deep up into a very shallow spot.
Okay.
And the further it went away from us, the shallower the water got, so we knew we had it trapped.
Sure.
and we could see the fish making a big loop back out to the deep water, and I could see this huge wake.
Yep.
It's coming at you. And we positioned ourselves just perfect in the boat, and it came on Jeremiah's side, and Jeremiah's a great shot, and boom, he smoked that fish, and it went out to deep water, and we got a backup shot into it. Lifted that fish into the boat, and it was a 63-pound smallmouth buffalo. Was our first fish in that tournament.
Oh, my gosh. Talk about a good way to start the night.
You want to talk about a little hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
When you get that towed in the boat, it's like, yeah.
Wow.
And we finished that tournament. We took first place in the Worlds. Our 20 buffalo carp that we weighed in was 804 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
So we had a 40-pound average on our buffs.
Oh.
Our biggest was 63. The first one we shot that night was our biggest fish.
Yep.
But that's just a cool tournament. That was a cool one for me to remember, because it's so cool when you're sitting there before you weigh in,
And you kind of know.
You kind of know.
Yep.
And then I remember Jim Ed came up and looked in our boat, and we had him covered up, but he lifted up the carpet and looked in there, and he goes, "You guys got this."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that had to feel just awesome.
It did. It made us feel pretty good, but we still didn't have our fish weighed in and stuff like that. But that was I've had a couple of these where on those nights everything just went
Everything
right.
clicks. Yeah.
Everything just went right. And you know what's funny about that? We left at 3:30 in the morning.
Left to go back to weigh in?
Yeah.
Really?
We left at 3:30 in the morning because we had a long boat ride.
Sure.
We had a lot of weight in our boat.
Yep.
And we just wanted to get back safe.
Right, just in case something would go haywire on the way back.
We had a little bit of time in case a bearing went out, or in case something happened on the boat ride back, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
We just wanted to be back in time. And the cool part is we got back in plenty of time, so we had time to put our fish on nice cold water.
Oh, sure.
And we had plenty of time to weigh out our 20 biggest fish and stuff like that. So it was a really cool tournament, and one that I'll never forget for sure.
Sure, absolutely. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about right there. You telling me that story,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have so many stories you could tell about tournaments.
Yeah. A couple years ago when we were shooting in the Muzzy Classic, we were on the river, and we rolled up on a nice big head.
Yep.
We hit it with our lights, and we're like, "Oh, that's a good fish." Everybody get ready?
Yep.
We all threw our lights on. I was shooting with Jeremiah Redden and Damian Lovelace.
Yep.
And we shined our lights, and we all hit the fish, and we all drew back and shot, and all of our arrows, 3 arrows ran into that fish.
Wow.
We got the fish alongside the boat, and I was thinking, a 40, 45-pound big head. Well, when Damien lifted that fish into the boat, it was 78 pounds.
Oh, my.
That was a cool moment.
Yeah.
For tournament shooting.
Oh.
That was a cool moment. Then, of course, the Rough Fish Association's Wisconsin Open, the Carpzilla Open, that night when we took first place in that with those giant, we averaged 30 pounds on our common carp. That was just a phenomenal night of bow fishing. But along with that, you have tournaments like, I think it was 2017. We were competing in the Bass Pro US Open.
Yep.
Friday night, Dennis and I were scouting, and the big heads were so stupid.
Really?
They were actually bumping the sides of the boat.
Oh.
Stupid. And good sized big heads.
Yep.
So the tournament that was down in Tennessee.
Okay.
All right. So we drive all the way to Tennessee.
Yep.
Sign in, sit there and wait. We leave the launch site. We drive 4.5 hours to our spot.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
We don't have a lot of fishing time.
Right.
But these fish were so thick. We could Friday night we could have had 20 in the boat in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we drive 4.5 hours to the spot. We put the boat in. We never saw a big head that night.
Oh, wow.
Not a single big head that night.
That's bow fishing in a nutshell right there.
Yeah. So you've got great nights. You've got bad nights.
Yep.
Then you have funny nights. I got another story here for you.
Okay, all right, good deal. I like the stories.
I think this was, what year was this here? Probably 2015 or 14, I think it was.
Yep.
We were competing in the the Bass Pro US Open.
Okay.
And that's when it was in Missouri. And you could shoot Bull Shoals and Table Rock, and I think a couple other lakes.
Pomme de Terre.
I think so,
Stockton.
yeah. Yep, you could shoot those. So, I have never in my life had to go to the bathroom in the back of a boat. Now, yes, I've taken leaks.
Leaks, yep.
Of course, I've done that, but I never had to do the other end of it.
Number two.
The number two. I never in my life have I ever done that in a bowfishing boat.
Okay, all right.
So for some reason, I'm sitting there and I kind of get, before tournaments, I kind of get quiet and I kind of get a little nervous.
Sure.
I get nervous before tournaments, and I hadn't eaten all day, and I have to eat something, otherwise I'm not going to feel good throughout the night.
Yep.
So for some reason, I went outside and I went to a food vendor, and I was looking at the menu, and I was like, give me 2 pulled pork sandwiches and some beans or what? Not, I don't think it was beans. It was like potato salad or something like that.
Yeah.
And a soda. So I scarfed that down, and that night we were on the water, and it was raining at the start, so we all had our rain gear on. And it's about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I run on the trolling motor.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I was like, whoa.
Was that the trolling motor or your guts?
That was my guts.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Like, whew, where did that come from? Oh, boy. Okay, take a deep breath, kind of get back into the mode, looking for fish.
Oh, boy.
She started rolling on me again.
That can't be good.
No. Now, I know I better not pass gas.
In the rain, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I better not do that because she might be a little hot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. God darn, now I'm starting to sweat a little bit here, and going along lesson for the 3rd time, she rumbled. I'm like, oh boy, okay, this is going to happen. Okay. So I waited probably too long.
Yep.
So I said, somebody's got to grab the trolling motor. I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I hurry up and waddle back down to the back of the boat. And now I'm in a hurry, a mad hurry, to get these bibs off.
Okay, yep.
My rain bibs.
Yep.
Hurry up, get them off, do my deal. And I went 4 times.
Oh, my gosh.
At night.
Did you have some teepee on the boat at least?
We did.
Oh, saving
And I
grace
used
right
the
there.
whole roll.
Oh, man.
I used the whole roll.
Man.
It was nasty. I've never done that in my life. And of course, during the biggest tournament that year, the Bass Pro US Open,
Oh, my gosh.
my guts were just hurting big time. So
Wasn't there? I don't know if you were telling me. Weren't you like on the front of the boat and like a smaller fish kind of swam in front of you and it was your shot to take and you didn't shoot and the guys were like, Matt, why didn't you shoot that fish?
that was a different tournament.
Oh my god, that was. Oh, and I remember you saying like, if I'd have shot that fish, I would have had an accident.
Right.
Oh my god. Well, that'll have to be story number 2 for the next podcast. Tell us about that one. Oh my lord.
I couldn't draw back on that fish because something might have happened.
Oh gosh. You'd have made a mess on the deck.
But so, getting back to that story.
Okay, yep.
All right, so the next day we go to weigh-ins and stuff like that, and we're tired, and Cindy is down there running the booth, and a couple other people from work here are running the booth.
Yep.
And they all came to weigh-ins that morning. And after we got done weighing in and the tournament was done, they wanted to go out and go bow fishing.
Sure.
So we were like, well, yeah, you guys can go, but we're going back to the motel.
Right.
We're tired.
Right.
So they took the boat and went bow fishing that day. And later on I find out, a lot of bow fishing boats have float pods on the back end of their boats.
Yep. Uh-oh, that's not where you did the business tonight.
It is. That's where I did my business.
No.
Okay, so as they're out there shooting that day, from what I found out is the fishing wasn't so great, so they decided to go swimming.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
And they were using the float pods to climb back up into
Oh my
the boat.
gosh.
I don't think any of them got red eye, but
Oh my god. Oh, if only they would have known. Did you ever tell her? Did anyone
we
ever
told
know?
them about it. Yeah, we told them about it.
Gosh. Oh, that's what that smell was. Gosh.
Yep. And then, along with that, you've got tournaments. I can remember just 2017. I was shooting in the Cajun 8
Yeah.
And I was shooting with Dennis Redden and Damian Lovelace, and I never hit a fish that night.
Really?
I couldn't hit nothing. You know, you got ups and highs and lows with tournaments, and I never hit a single fish that night.
Really?
And I felt just awful.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I left the team down.
Right.
You know, but so you have nights like that too, where some people aren't shooting good and some people are shooting good.
Right.
Yep. But there's I've got a whole list of tournaments that I've gone to. It's been a blast, and getting back to the AMS Big 30/20 since we changed it. Nobody from AMS competes in the tournament, but we run it.
Right. And
I truly enjoy that. I kind of run around and talk with the microphone on weigh-ins. And
yep, that's always fun to hear.
Seeing all the teams coming in, and one thing that you learn from going to other tournaments is how can I make this one run better, what can change with that tournament. And now we have all the weigh-ins are done under a sheltered building. So if it's raining out, we're not going to get wet. The scales aren't going to get wet.
Right.
We have three
weighing stations.
3 weighing stations, and to make it easy for everybody, because we're constantly lifting barrels of heavy fish, we bring in hay wagons, so the boats pull in, and that's pretty even with the hay wagons, so they can just slide their barrels onto the hay wagons. Yep. We weigh the fish.
Yep.
And then we've got a company that comes here, and they bring 2 end loaders.
Yep.
So we can just dump the fish into end loaders, and they can just take them and put them into the dumpsters.
It's pretty slick.
It is, and we get a lot of we're usually done by weigh-ins by 9:30 in the morning, and we're talking 100 and some teams.
Right.
And you always want to make it fast, because these guys have been up scouting, driving, shooting all night long, weigh-ins, and so you want to make it as fast as possible to get them in and out. So that's always a big plus.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? One thing as far as the tournaments go, get out there and enjoy them.
Yep.
Get out there and start competing. Like I said, I remember the first time I was in a tournament, I was intimidated. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know what to expect. I'm sitting there, and I had my little, well, it's not little, but I had an 18-foot, flat bottom tracker grizzly, and I had it all set up for bow fishing, but I've never shot in a tournament before. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And then from there, it just grew into something that I really love to do.
Right.
Competing, like I said, I like to compete to see how I can do against other teams from different areas on a new body of water. What I need to learn, and I've learned a lot over the years.
Sure.
Of course, I'm not going to tell you everything I learned.
Yeah, can't do that. You got to go out and do that yourself. You got to go out and learn.
There's even some things I don't tell you yet.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I bet you got a whole memory bank of information up there that you're never going to tell anybody.
We might discuss it after I'm done bow fishing, but for now, I'm not going to get into some special things.
All right. I can settle for that. It sounds good to me.
Yep. But no, get out there, use maps. I mean, I kind of like maps, and I kind of don't like maps.
Yep.
As far as on your phone goes, because it shows everything.
Right.
I mean, there's no more hidden boat launches.
You see it, but so does everybody else.
Yep. But that's what's cool about it, the competing, compete against them.
For sure.
And along with, like I said, along with adult tournaments, get out there and compete in the youth tournaments.
Yeah.
Take kids out, get them on the water. Another thing that's really cool is I love it at our AMS Big 20.
Yep.
Where I see these all-female teams.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
Yep. They'll come in, they'll have a good pile of fish.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's cool to see that.
It is. It's cool to see that, and we have a lot of great female prizes that we get for that. So, it's cool to see the women getting out there and enjoying the sport. They love it. They like going with their boyfriend, husband, getting out there and shooting in the tournaments as well.
Yep. For sure. I just want everyone listening to know that one of the titles in Matt's notebook for this episode is, quote, TP on the poop deck. And it's written in big letters. That was obviously something that he really wanted to touch on. TP on the poop deck. That's good stuff right there. I just read that. It took everything in me not to laugh while you were talking. My gosh.
I had to remember that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how you forget that.
Right.
I mean, good Lord.
I just want to remember I wouldn't forget it in my stories. That's why I highlighted it in big black letters.
Yep. That's good stuff. Well, I think I think that's about wraps it up. What we were going to all talk about. It's crazy. Feels like we've been talking for 20 minutes.
I know.
It's been almost an hour.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good time talking here at tournaments. Like I said, like you also said, do you have any questions that you want us to get to and stuff like that on tournaments or whatnot? Give us a message on Facebook or, private message us if you want. That'd be cool.
Yep.
And like I said, we're going to get some more guests on here as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And one thing I'm really looking forward to on our podcast is once we can finally get out into our, season starts around here.
Right.
We're going to have podcasts where we talk about, the last couple of nights we've been out in the water. I'm super jealous as I see people on Facebook that have open water where they're shooting some of these buffs and grass carp already. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Not fair.
Not fair.
Not fair.
No.
All right, so every podcast we're going to do a product highlight, and I think an appropriate AMS product for this week's podcast is the E-Rad bow.
Oh, I love that bow.
Yep, that's my personal favorite to shoot as well.
Face cams are so smooth on that bow. It's just awesome. I really like that.
30 to 60 pound draw.
30 to 60 pound draw. You've got adjustable draw lengths on there. Like I said, man, that thing spits arrows.
Oh, absolutely. There's some raw power behind that baby.
Big time. Remember shooting those buffs in Texas? They were like 3 feet down and we penetrated and we cranked that E-Rad up to 60 pounds, man. It was just
Yep. And those were 50, 60 pound buffs.
Some big stud buffs.
Yep.
So that's an awesome bow. I think right now you can get the E-Rad Bear bow for $399. The E-Rad bow kit, $599. And that includes the TNT retriever.
Yep.
350-pound Spectre line. Lava Crux arrow.
Yep.
Anchor FX point.
That's a big fish killing setup right there. Absolutely.
AMS tidal wave rest. Holds your arrow in place when the shot needs to be taken, baby.
Yep. That's a lot of bow for that price.
Awesome bow. Make sure to check out the AMS E-Rad.
Yeah.
At AMS Bowfishing.
Guys, I think that's going to wrap up episode 4, Tournament Talk 2.0. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be coming out with another podcast here in the next week or two.
Yep.
Try to post them every other week. So thank you from all of us at AMS Bowfishing, and always remember, aim low,
think big.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Have a good one.